greetings. Um, I just want to, I know I don't be on here that much, um, but I feel like I needed to be today. And what has been um, taking up my awareness as of the last day or so, in particular this dawning, has been the importance of icons. And when I talk about icons, I mean images that, um, give me one second. Images that we can utilize uh, to help program our reality. An icon, as much as modern society attempts to redefine what an icon is, people say that Beyonce is an icon, or, you know, Kanye West, or whatever. Um, different entertainers or artists of different um, mediums, they call icons representations of a greater principle. And that may very well be somewhat true. I'm not saying about them, which that can be true for them too, for others. But for me, those are not icons. Those are people who are living their lives and doing the best that they can and accomplishing great things. Yes, absolutely. But to be an icon for me, um, means that you represent a higher principle that people need to use, or people can use as a medium when attempting to call down an energy to help them in their life. Icons can also be seen as idols, right? But what makes a thing an idol is that you make it greater than, at least when we're talking about idols in terms of the kinds of idols that um, people consider off limits, right? Idols tend to be things that you put above the creator or the creatrix. I'm not talking about idols. I'm talking about icons. I'm talking about representations, whether it's a little wooden statue or a painting or some symbolic object that reminds you of the principles of a particular energy. And some years ago, as I was learning from the author Horace Butler, who wrote the book When Rocks Cry Out, great book, go get it. Um, he talked about the period of time that the church attempted to break the icons, the iconoclastic period, as they call it. Iconoclast obviously means, with the root word icon, the breaking of the icons, the destruction of the icons, the destruction of the representations of divine principles. And because they spun their Bible the way that they wanted to spin it and fashioned it the way that they wanted to fashion it, even though most of it was taken from our divinities. Excuse me. They made it seem as if as if our icons were bad, as if they were demonic, as if they were evil. And that is not the case. Our icons are doorways. Our icons are portals. Our icons are ways for us to access what is within us subconsciously. And I don't care. And that has been something that our ancestors have fought to preserve since we can remember. There's a reason for that. I don't agree with everything that is maintained by tradition. I do not follow everything that is maintained by tradition. And one, as I've said before, particular scripture that I still follow to this day is the passage where Christ told the Pharisees and scribes, excuse me, that it was by their tradition that they made the word of God of none effect. Or in other words, because they were following their tradition so blindly, they were unable to hear the very living and right now fresh communication from the divine. Sure, I follow that. I believe, I know that there are things that we miss when we are so attached to tradition. But some parts of our tradition are necessary, very necessary. And while I do know that all of the forces that we hold inside of us, we can call them archetypes, we can call them energies, we can call them planetary influences, we can call them gates, we can call them gods, we can call them divinities, deities. We can call them a lot of different things. We can call them by their names, the names that they used to be called by. We can call them many different things. It doesn't matter what we call them. What matters is that we understand that these forces exist within us. That these forces are accessible. And that is where Spirit has me in this moment. Realizing that while we have the responsibility, it's a great word, responsibility, or the ability to respond via these very unique and specific energies to different situations, we still sometimes need help identifying these energies, identifying these archetypes, identifying these principles that exist within us. And so I really, really have been contemplating this morning the importance of our icons. Because when we're dealing with altars, when we're dealing with representations, and when I do this, I'm thinking about like an idol or a wooden carving or, whatever of a particular divinity. If you look at the image that I have for this video, that's an example. The icon of Ibeji or Ho-Ho or Venavi or Marasa Jumo. This icon, these statues, they remind me of how the balance is necessary. They remind me of the masculine and feminine. They remind me of the light and the dark. They remind me of the open and the closed. They remind me of the good and the evil. They remind me of all of these things subconsciously when I look at them. And we want to be able to reach heaven or Orun, whatever your word is for it, no matter your tradition. We want to be able to reach the realm beyond this realm and touch the creatrix, touch the creator, touch the one, the all, the beingness, the consciousness that created all of this, right? To receive the help we need. But when we try to do this without focus, without placing our focus and concentration into the principles that we're calling upon, it is very difficult for the mind to do this in this present world. With all of the things that are going on around us, with all of the distractions that we have, with all of the social media, with all of the celebrity stuff, with all of whatever society is saying about whatever's popular at the moment, is very, very difficult. With all of the things going on in your household, with your family, with your partner, your spouse, your husband, your wife, your mistress, your parents, your children, doesn't matter, with all of your friends, with all of these things that are going on in life, it's very difficult to focus our energy into the principle that we need in order to manifest something different in our lives that will answer the questions, that will answer the problems, that will be a solution to the problems that we have. And so here we are trying to blindly, right? Trying to blindly give ourselves to prayer or to meditation or to affirmation to awaken this part of us, but without the subconscious programmer there to help us along the way. And this is why icons are important. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't throw away the traditions just because somebody said, that's idolatry. No, it's not idolatry. This is me accessing an aspect of the Creator, a specific aspect of the Creator. This is me expanding that energy within my mind, my heart, my gut, my being, to expand it outside into my aura, so that I can attract like energies toward myself. If I'm looking for wealth, I'm not going to pray to the divinity or of sickness. I'm going to pray, if we want to use that word, or access the divinity of wealth, the divinity of abundance. There are many different divinities of abundance depending on the tradition and the part of the world that we're talking about. But my point is, I need an icon. Some people need an icon. Some people need an image to remind them of the principles, because the images have all of the symbolism in them that remind us, even if we don't know what the symbols mean, it reminds us of what it reminds us of subconsciously of what that particular energy provides and requires. And so this idea that iconography is demonic or evil is just flat out not true. And that thought process is a result of unbalanced patriarchy taking control of the spiritual forces of the planet, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, all of the Abrahamic religions and their offshoots, which place Abraham or Brahma at the forefront of everything, that places the masculine at the forefront of everything, when the feminine first birthed the masculine. We won't go into all of that today, but it needed to be said. My point is, we're not yet free of that mindset. We're not yet free of the patriarchal overtones that color all of our written, oral, artistically expressed spiritual concepts. Doesn't matter how it's expressed. We're not yet free. And I wanted to come on here and not only say that, but remind us that there is a way to focus in on the icons that you need. And this is why it's important to know your design. This is why it's important to know your Odu. This is why it's important to know your Poli. This is why it's important to know the destiny contract that you came here to live in this lifetime. You can find that out in many different ways. You can find that out through a human design reading. You can find it out through an hand of Fa or hand of Ifa. You can find it out in many different ways. But when you do so, you learn the divinities or the Godheads that are walking with you in this life. And once you learn the divinities or Godheads that are walking with you in this life, you know which icons you need to strengthen in order to help certain aspects of your life. So, for example, I can speak best to myself. I made a video a while back about Shango, a Shango initiation, right? And I've learned quite a bit even since then, but the general idea was that I attempted to self-initiate myself via mushrooms and focusing on the intention that I wanted to gain insight on during that journey. And what came from that was the leopard. What came from that was dancing in trance. What came from that was many different things. But I knew that this was an expansion within myself of the quote unquote, if we're going to talk Isheshe or Ifa or Orisha tradition, Shango. Before him it was Jakuta, right? But this principle in Vodun is Hevioso. This principle of lightning, right? This principle of operating as a doer, one that is ready to take charge, one that is ready to, you know what I'm saying? But to have, it would have been different, I can say this, if I had an icon. Because when you're in the spirit and you see something, you don't see it as you see it if you're just passing by, right? You see the hidden aspects of that thing. You see the things that are going to awaken those powers within you. And so I'm saying all that to say, when you look at certain aspects of your design, for human design, let's say, certain aspects of your Poli or your Odu, and you see that there's a Godhead or a divinity attached to that gate, attached to that aspect, right? Attached to that house, attached to that, whatever you want to call it. I'm just giving you different ways of saying this from different traditions. When you see a divinity that is attached to that, a divinity that is born within that sign, now you know, okay, this is the energy that can help me. This is the energy I need to put in front of me to remind me that this is what is important right now in this moment in time. It's like an ancestral altar, right? You put up your ancestral altar, you have pictures of your ancestors, you have things that they like, you feed them food that they like, you do all of these different things, because what you're doing is you're awakening that part, that memory of them within yourself, that you're awakening their spirit within your own DNA, within your own aura, within your own mind, to remind you of the forces, the power, the energy that they hold, that you can gain access to help you accomplish something in this life. So if you have an ancestor who is a great business person, I have one. I have a couple. I have a few, actually. But I know I have a couple that were great business people. One of them died before his time, so I don't call on him very often. I'm still elevating him in my ancestral prayers, in my ancestral veneration, in my ancestral honoring. But I still have a picture of him. But one of my other ancestors on my father's side, I know that he owned a hotel. And he owned not a restaurant, a grocery store. And he was, I think he owned like a lumber company or something like that, out in Virginia or West Virginia in the 1800s. And so this ancestor, when I call his name, that is what comes to my mind. That is what I'm reminded of because I know the story, right? It reminds me of how astute I need to be. It reminds me of how I need to be on my P's and Q's. If I'm going to be have enough business acumen to run an entire grocery store and a hotel and a lumber company, I got to get myself together. I got to allow that part of me to come to the surface. And looking at the face, if I had a picture of him, looking at the face of this ancestor would awaken it even more so because I see the energy of a person who has accomplished everything that I'm trying to accomplish in human form. That's what an icon is. It is the physical manifestation of a particular archetype that has successfully embodied that archetype. This is why we have crucifixes and statues of Jesus all over the place. Even though they tell you not to worship icons, even though they tell you not to put any idols above God the Father. And this is, whatever. But they don't have a problem with you having a cross or having a crucifix with the Jesus on the cross, or having a picture of Jesus in your house, or any of that other stuff, or even when you get into Catholicism, having a picture of Mary, the mother of Jesus, or any of the saints and all of that kind of stuff. This is exactly what it is. They're using our science. They're using our science. And telling us not to use our science. And we wonder why we're in the predicament that we're in. Some of the things we need are some of the things that we're most afraid of. We have to begin to awaken the deeper parts of our minds, the deeper parts of our subconscious, unconscious self, that have all of these forces buried and ready to manifest into the lotus that they are, the lotuses, to unfold and bloom into the energy that they are. We need our icons. And we need to know how to utilize those icons. We need to know how to identify which ones we need for which things. So look at your gates. If you don't have a human design chart just yet, if you're new here, go to jovianarchive.com, go to get your free chart, put in your birth information, and you can get your chart. Right? It's not going to show you your Godheads, but it will show you your gates on both sides. Or you can go to Genetic Matrix if you want to be able to see the Godheads. Go to Genetic Matrix and pay for an account. It's monthly. It's like $10 a month. And put in your information. Go to the interactive portion of your chart. Click on them gates, and it will show you exactly what Godhead in the breakdown that your gates embody. And then you go and do the research of those Godheads and you find out the equivalents to those Godheads in your culture, right? And then from there, you can find yourself an icon, put it on your altar, or make an altar for that icon, make a special, sacred, honored place for that energy, and begin to work with it, sit before it, visualize it, meditate it, think about it before you go to sleep, all of that stuff, and help you to awaken this part of you. Figure out the things that that particular divinity loves, the food that they love, the scent that they love, or scents that they love, the type of whatever offering that you could give to that divinity. Now you can be superstitious and give it to the statue if you want. And I'm not saying there's anything against that. I've got a couple oranges in front of my Legba shrine right now, or whatever fruit it is. But another way that you can look at that, because you realize that these energies are alive in you, is to feed yourself those things. So if, for example, your divinity is, I don't know, Oshun. I'll say that because she's popular, even though people don't really know the full extent of what Oshun is. I don't even know the full extent of what Oshun is, but in my looking, I know she's more than just sensuality and sex and fertility. But anyway, I digress. Let's say your divinity is Oshun. Or if you're Indian, Lakshmi. Or if you're Greek, Aphrodite. Right? And you know that Oshun loves honey. Feed yourself honey. Don't overfeed yourself, but get acclimated to the sweetness of life. And as you acclimate yourself to the sweetness of life, as you acclimate yourself to whatever it is that you are working with, you begin to awaken that part within yourself. This is subconscious spiritual science. I'm not an expert in this. I'm a beginner. But I'm just speaking what is coming to me. If you have correction that you can give me in the comments, please give me. But I just wanted to kind of merge these together, not just because I want to talk about human design. That's the science that I know, right? I'm very much a beginner in terms of actual African spirituality, altar work, right? I'm still learning. I know that I'm ahead of many people, but I'm still very much learning. Okay. But the way my mind works and puts things together, I see, this is how this works. This is how you put these together. This is how you figure out right? And then eventually you get where you're trying to go. But I just wanted to speak to this. I just wanted to speak to the reality that as much as we speak about following our strategy and authority, as much as we talk about um, strategy and authority being the new divination and all that kind of stuff that I've said myself, as well as seen other people say, it does not negate the need for the mind to be reprogrammed, for the mind to be deprogrammed or deconditioned and then reprogrammed with what we need in order to manifest what we want. We have to spend more time with ourselves. We have to spend more time thinking and contemplating, meditating. And those are three different things: thinking, contemplating, and meditating. Okay, I just want that to be clear. But spend more time doing these things to realize aspects of our life that we have not yet realized. Spend more time sitting with our ancestors, spend more time sitting with the forces within us, allowing those forces to spark on the inside. So, yeah, as always, I love you. I appreciate all of you who watch, and and I will be available. I am available for human design readings. I am available for counsel. I am available for couples counseling. I'm available for a whole host of stuff that I do but don't really talk about. Just hit me up and see if I can help with a particular thing, and I'll tell you the truth, yes or no. I'm not going to take your money and not be able to help you. So yeah, if you want to book a human design session in particular, email me at karothakofe dot blah 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 at karothakofe@gmail.com, or you can inbox me on Facebook or Instagram at karothakofe, and we will talk soon. I appreciate you, and I speak bliss and balance to your day, to your life, and I speak wellness and good fortune. A double.